Hello, my name is Allison Root, Director of Learning and Organizational Development for the firm. Today I'm going to talk to you about the fiscal year 17 annual evaluations and the fiscal year 18 goal setting for client services staff. We will walk through the changes that have been made to the goals and competencies. We'll talk a little about the promise, the 360 feedback piece that has been added in this year for all staff. We'll discuss the changes that have been made to the rating scale. We'll talk through the fiscal year 18 goal setting process, the excellence bonus, and I'll share with you some best practices as it relates to self-evaluations and goal setting. For the fiscal year 17 self-evaluations, these were launched in Halogen on May 1st. The quick reference guides are available and on the ampersand as well as on your Halogen homepage at the very bottom under additional resources. Please make sure to use these guides. We've spent a lot of time creating them to help you navigate these processes effectively and efficiently. We recommend that you print them out and follow the steps completely to ensure that the process is done correctly. The first step for the self-evaluations is to make sure that you update and comment on your goal progress. This is outlined in the quick reference guides and it needs to be done prior to you opening the self-evaluation form. It is very important that you do this step first. All of the updates and comments that you make in this section will feed to your self-evaluation. So when you go in and open your self-evaluation after you've done this step, you will see all of your notes that have pulled in from that section. Next, we have added in competencies this year based on level. The competencies range from technical skills, communication, leadership, and they vary based on your level, and they grow in complexity, I should say, based on your level. The competencies we did have, if you remember using success factors, there was about 20 of them. We've narrowed it down to 5 to 7, and it should be pretty straightforward. They're at a high level, there's a definition for each one, and you will rate yourself and provide a comment for each one. The due date for self-evaluations is May 12th. This is also the due date for your fiscal year 18 goal setting. This should be kind of the first step that you take with your goal setting. Many of you may say, I don't even know what my goals are. Just put some pen to paper when you get into Halogen and start thinking through things that your performance coach may want you to be working on for fiscal year 18. You can go back and forth with your performance coach on this process. They can send your form back to you for edits and you can send it back to them, so on and so forth. So this will be a great opportunity for you to think forward in terms of what you want to accomplish and what you'll be responsible for in fiscal year 18. Performance coaches will then have until June 2nd to complete the fiscal year 17 evaluations on their direct reports. Some new features that we've added into the evaluation process for fiscal year 17. As I mentioned before, there's a 360 feedback feature. Previously, we've just had this feature for partners. Now we are opening this up for all staff. This is a great opportunity for you to work with your performance coach in determining who you should have selected to complete a 360 and who may be able to provide you with really relevant and meaningful feedback on your performance this year. So I recommend reaching out to your performance coach, providing them with names that you think would be relevant to provide feedback for you on. And for those performance coaches, we're really recommending this for the senior level and above to provide good, well-rounded feedback. The process is confidential and completed by the evaluators that you choose. We recommend at least 5 to 7 evaluators that you may want to reach out to for input. And the results will be reported to your performance coach. Your performance coach will then provide you with the report, the analysis of your 360 in your one-on-one meeting when you go over your annual review. So we ask that you work with your performance coach on this as I said. Think of people that could provide you with meaningful feedback. And then the steps to complete this task are in the quick reference guide, again on Halogen, under additional resources, and also on the ampersand. So it's pretty straightforward, but again, this has to be launched by your performance coach. You cannot launch this directly. It's actually key right at the very top of your evaluation that your performance coach will click on 360 feedback, select the evaluators, and then actually deploy the 360 right from there. Other changes that we've made this year is to the rating scale. So over the years, we've used a variety of different rating scales. We've used 10-point, 5-point, qualitative, quantitative, a variety of different ones. This year, we're moving to a scale that has 5 options. And these are the options. They rate from exceptional, above expectations, meets expectations, requires development, and below expectations. So for each of the goals and each of the competencies that you have, you will be rated using this scale. You'll do your self-evaluation and rate yourself, and then your performance coach will do your evaluation and then select the rating that is most appropriate for each of those, each of the goals and competencies. There will not be an overall score, nor will employees be ranked against their peers. So in previous years, we were using a 10-point scale. Last year, we used the 10-point scale in success factors. A lot of folks we were finding were rated either an 8, 9, or 10. And 7 really meant that you had one foot out the door. So there will no longer be that ranking. There will no longer be an overall score. So even if some of your goals you're meeting expectations and others you are exceptional, we're not doing an average of each of those and having them roll up into an overall score. So that's another change for this year. So there is not going to be a score that you're given on your review. It's just going to really be hopefully an opportunity for you and your performance coach to have a really good conversation about ways in which you excelled this year, ways in which you are meeting expectations, and maybe areas where you can develop and grow for the future. We're really stating, and we really want to make sure that we drive this point home, that meets expectations is completely appropriate and acceptable. Based on the definition, you will see that you are doing your job. You're doing what you need to get the job done. And requires development. It might be an area that an employee needs to work on during the next fiscal year, but it certainly doesn't mean that you failed. It's an opportunity for improvement. And so we really want to make note of that and make you aware of the fact that there may be areas that require development. There may be projects that you work on and things that you do day to day where you really hit it out of the park. But when you come to work each day, you put your head down and do what you need to do and don't really interact with others. You leave when you need to and respond to everything through email. And your interpersonal skills may be lacking. That might be something that needs to be worked on, and it might require development. So your performance coach might rate the competency of interpersonal skills as requires development. But does that mean overall in your performance review that you get a requires development? No, again, because there's no overall score. You're rating each of the individual goals and competencies on an individual basis. So therefore, leading into the excellence bonus will not be tied to your overall evaluation score because there is no evaluation score. It is completely discretionary, so team leaders will allocate the excellence bonus. Again, it's not based on any evaluation score, and it will not be based on a percentage of your salary. Practice leaders and your HR business partner will review the allocations with team leaders to make sure that it is equitable and that it is done efficiently. Your annual evaluation is separate from your excellence bonus and your 2018 salary. And the evaluation is really an opportunity, again, to identify areas for improvement, to celebrate the successes that you've had during the year, and to identify areas where you can develop further. So what's going to happen is that your team leader, your performance coach, will receive their bonus pool, and they will need to determine, based on how they feel that their employees are performing or have performed in this fiscal year, they will then allocate the excellence bonus accordingly. So it's very important to understand, again, that this is not tied to your overall score. It is simply an opportunity for your performance coach to provide an excellence bonus to those who they feel are really doing an excellent job and and hitting it out of the park, and then they will determine again how that is allocated based on the number of people on their team and based on the pool that they receive. The excellence bonus is given at the senior level and above, just as a reminder. Now, switching gears a little bit, going back to the self-evaluation, just some best practices to keep in mind. This makes it even more important, given the changes that we've made this year, that you really take the time to write your self-evaluation and provide your performance coach with maybe some insights and things that they were not aware of that you've done and were able to accomplish during the given year. So these are just some questions to keep in mind as you're writing your self-evaluation. Really take the time between now and May 12th to delve into this a little bit. If you have been updating your goals during the course of the year, this will make this step so much easier. So one thing that we do recommend is that you update your goals at least quarterly, that you check in and make sure that you're providing updates and insights as to how you've been doing with accomplishing your goals. It'll just make the year-end process that much easier. We really want to focus on creating a balanced assessment when you are writing your self-evaluation, looking at positive comments, typically 90%, and 10% may be areas of development, or there may be areas that you want to grow in that you haven't even been able to touch yet, things that you want to do and be challenged by. So include that in your self-evaluation. And then in terms of some best practices, goal setting tips, we had some goal setting training last year on the SMART goal process, so some of you may remember this, but making sure that when you write your goals, you do so in such a way where they're specific, they're measurable, they're achievable, they're relevant, and they're timely. We've seen some excellent goals and some goals that have been written in a way that need a little bit more to them, because there's no way of knowing if it was actually achieved because they're lacking some of the specifics in these areas. So really take the time to dedicate putting in thoughtful goals, goals that are specific enough that you will know by the end of the year if you've actually achieved them. So that wraps up our session for today. If you have questions, please reach out to myself or Kelly Koenig. We are happy to assist you. Please make sure that you look out for the quick reference guides, again, both in halogen and on the ampersand. These will greatly assist you in this process. We know that it can be somewhat daunting coming off of busy season and then having to get right into your evaluation and goal setting processes. So reach out to us with questions, and we are here and happy to help. Thank you.